In Touch Radio, the most loved station across the nation. In Touch Radio. Tell a friend. In Touch Radio.
The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host, guests, and callers who are responsible for their content and do not reflect the opinions of In Touch Radio or its staff.
CEO just brought us in. Good morning, everybody. It's Saturday morning.
They can hear my lovely voice this morning.
They missed you last week, Pete. They missed you last week.
Well, I'm glad I got an old school song from I'm Telling You.
Oh, okay.
You remember that?
That's plenty of it right there. Good morning. Welcome to In Touch News Radio, reality radio where everybody can be a star. My name is Clinton Paris. I'm a co-host of Straight Up the Middle. I'm joined here by none other than the legendary Sweet Pete Crooner Edwards. Good morning, Pete. How you feeling, man?
I'm doing good. That's why I said I'm telling you, because a lot of stuff you're going to talk about, we're going to talk about.
Listen, man. So last week you let me get loose. I mean, I was, it's like the parents left, went downtown, left you at the house by yourself, and I was all over the place. I had a wild time by myself here, as my wife would say. Go right ahead. But glad to have you back here with us this week, Pete. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of things happening politically, and
a lot of heavy burdens.
One of the things I always try to make sure we remind people that wherever you are in your community, do not think that the things that you're dealing with are isolated to just you. It's almost like every household we deal with the same and similar things, no matter where you go. One of the things that hit home here in Tampa, where we're located, was. A recent murder of two young men died in a shootout, and reasons why are still up in the air. Families are grieving, communities are trying to figure out what to do. But not long ago, we had a situation where a young lady was shot, and the 4-year-old was shot, and it just seems to be rampant gun shootings in our communities, and I'm just at a loss.
That's going to continue. When I talk to young people, I tell folks, when you see young people come out in a public setting, whether it's the park, whether it's Burger King or whatever, stop running and trying to get away from them. Sit your butt down there, eat, look, listen, and learn.
Are you thinking that there's a lack of engagement with older folks and younger folks?
Well, no, I think the older people, I think a lot of us just like to ignore them, and that's a mistake. See, we got this fallacy about young people can't teach us anything. And it's a mistake, and it has cost us dearly with their involvement in future leadership. I remember a young guy told me that he said, hey, look, one of the reasons why you get a pass, Mr. Pete, is because you listen and you pay attention without trying to overthrow us. So we respect that because we know that you're taking it all in. And then we're going to get an honest answer. And that happens with a lot of people. Even your clients in a professional manner, or even your neighbors will come to you, the kids will say, hey, we can trust you to give them an honest answer. But what's happening with all this young crime is that is a competitive thing.
You mean between different communities, different individuals?
But it's competitive among the kids because one of the things they're doing is seeing who can outrank who for the moment for YouTube or Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook opportunity to possess a weapon illegally or that kind of stuff. And then they realize that in the black community, because we're anti-police, so to speak, and all of that.
I don't know that we're anti-police.
Well, the kids think so.
I think there's a criminal element. I think criminals are anti-police. But let's not confuse that. The black community is not anti-police. Let's not confuse criminals with
the kids think different, and they realize that because of that void, they are.
Let me see if I heard what you said. Did I just hear you say the old dance battle has turned into a shootout battle? When kids used to would have a dance battle or dance off, and who could pop lock and do all that break dance the best, and then everybody would go home. That's now turned into a shootout.
Well, the reason why it is because they know nobody is. They know the white people. They don't worry about them because they know they're not going to pay attention to them, and they realize that parents and neighbors and all like that, because of the quote, in some areas, anti-police, no snitching rule, and the fact, whether we like to admit it or not, you have a lot of families that, just like white, Spanish, or whatever, you have a lot of black families that are benefiting from their kids' involvement in illegal money gathering transaction. That's just the reality of it.
Right.
So we have to deal with that. And what happens is, you see these kids die. Their parents have no life insurance or anything like that. They have the candlelight thing and all. And then when you talk to them the following week, they say, well, it's the next man up. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of the violence and a lot of foolishness going on, guess what it's fueled by? Young black girls.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute now.
Deal with
boy,
that.
Pete, are you consistent or what, man? You always dumping on the
you
women.
And I both have worked in those.
Yeah, I know we have, but you're always dumping on. I'm sorry. I hold men to a higher responsibility in our community. I'm not willing to concede that. I think the young ladies are responding to the options that are available to them as it relates to mates and men, and things of that nature. Both where they're mainly deciding to be single and not get mixed up in that foolishness, and then you have another group that will go along with some of that.
That might be those who are 24 and up. I'm talking about when you look at social media now, you look at the power of young people, particularly from between the age of 12 to 18. You can go on any website or whatever. You can see the making it rain. You can see young people holding up all kind of weapons. You can see young people holding.
But I don't know that
any
of that's But I don't. But that's not new. I think social media makes it more, viewable. You can see it without going to the place.
What social media does is help gangs and criminal elements send a message out in better and more intelligent code language. So if an adult or someone who doesn't really follow social media a lot, they would miss it. So then when we see it out on the street, it's like, okay, this is one person. I've always said that if we're going to have a future black leadership, we cannot continue to ignore the strong undercurrent of young criminal element. I don't know that that's being ignored. I think it's just out of control. With it is.
Well, who? But see, and I'm gonna go back to what I started with. Probably at about 16, I realized that my mother could not force any behavior on me that I didn't want to. She was up in age. I was young. I had energy. I was driven in my mindset. Beyond me coming to some own personal realization, and I remember, Pete, I was a relatively good kid. I wasn't running the streets, doing drugs, all that kind of stuff. And there were still people trying to talk to me, and they could have been talking to a brick wall. I wasn't listening to anything they had to say, because you know what I thought? They were old, you're talking about, and you're not dealing with the things I'm dealing with. And I'm just trying to think, how do we get to those kids? I'm not trying to get to the parents. I'm just trying to think, and I think one of the issues is hope. And I'm really bringing this back to Monday's celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, the holiday, that whole legacy, and all the events that were going on, trying to uplift our community. A lot of people are putting a lot of work and effort. They may not be doing all that everybody think is perfect. I personally was very excited to have another very successful Tampa Organization of Black Affairs breakfast. We had just an exceptional turnout. I want to thank the community for that and support. We had 4 kids that are great kids at Middleton and Blake that we gave out scholarships to, recognized hard work in our community, recognized companies engaged in diversity and inclusion and economic opportunity within our community. Just a lot of that kind of stuff. And then to a parade. Now, I don't know if you heard, Pete, but I'm sure DJC, you heard that the Kappas in the parade stepped.
Yeah, everybody's talking about that.
Now, I'm going to go a step further. We didn't just step. I got to lead the step. You know, if anybody don't wonder, you know, who that was out front making all that noise in all the intersections blocking traffic, twirling that cane high up in the air. Yes, that was me doing. I know it's hard to believe, but yes, with Kappas, we lit it up, had a great time. But then to come out of that with this thing of these shootings and young people dying.
It's not. See, I think we're also missing the boat is that we're not the kids themselves, whether it's regarding shooting or protecting hard-gained civil rights from the King era and before that, they're going to have to lead the way. And right now, the feeling is among the kids, party for the moment, get those bands for the moment, that kind of stuff.
Well,
and
yeah,
that's just it. We just don't like to deal
with
it.
Well, no, I've always accepted that is a part of it. I want to say also though, if you have any doubt about how dynamic and spectacular Pete the Kappas looked at the parade, all you need to do is get your most recent copy of In Touch News magazine that is located at all the stores around town. You can even stop by the studio at 5508.
Just read it.
Get your So you see that picture, that we were out, in just a really, really spectacular time. Now,
I also saw the picture on the front page where my fellow Republican.
who's your fellow? Who's that?
And I believe he's a Kappa, if I'm not mistaken.
Who?
Emmett Smith.
I'm not going into all that. I'm not following any of that.
Oh, he's a Phi Beta.
Well, I'm not Phi Beta man.
But let me tell you something.
But why is that? So when you were saying he's Emmett Smith, let's talk about that real quick. You mentioned Emmett Smith is on the front page.
In Touch, the Black and Brown College,
Hillsborough Community College. I think their 15th year of the Black and Brown College
was founded by Sylvia Marion Carley.
It is a seminar for young people who are not engaged in some of the stuff we're talking about, but actually building themselves towards a successful academic career.
Well, what's going to happen when you have those lunches on? Here's my thinking. The kids that we got this fallacy that a lot of smart kids don't live in the hood.
They're very smart kids over there.
Now, what's going to happen is that the ones that are living in those low-income neighborhoods and all that, they're going to, as they progress, they're going to have to come back and help clean up that.
Almost impossible. It's almost impossible.
No, it's not.
I'm gonna tell you. All right, okay, P. Because we're not far apart from this. I grew up in West Tampa. Decided I was going to college, and I can't tell you how many people that of my crew, so to speak, I spent decades trying to encourage and shift onto a right track. And eventually, I found out these people that made a hard decision. This is just how my life's going to be. And you can talk to me all. So whatever, I changed my tag. I then started focusing on their kids, 10, 11, 12, Uncle Clint, and I left the adults alone. And I have had a much better success getting their kids to think differently
that's why I
than
said
the adults.
The most dangerous group of kids we got to work with now, whether they're in criminal environment or whatever, because of the mindset, because of the social media set, is the middle school kids. And I'm talking about also kids between 12 and 18. See, when you see young people, boys and girls, okay, and they have exotic tattoos and all, and they 14, 15 years old.
Well, who signed for that? Because you got to be 18 to get a tattoo. Somebody had to sign the authorization slip as an adult.
You have some young parents that have done that, but you also have some parents who say, I find nothing wrong with it. They can get it on their own. I'm just not going to sign for it. So you got that kind of mentality thing. Here's the thing. You want to find the parade was beautiful, both of them, St. Pete and Tampa. But if you were to do an honest survey among young people, particularly between 12, and I would say between 12 and 16, and ask them, who was Martin Luther King and what was the value he represent to them as they're more freer now?
Right.
They couldn't tell you.
And I wouldn't be surprised at that, but that's the same thing for you talk to people about, other historical figures, like during civil rights, and if you go back to, I get that educational piece, and I'm not going to even, and I love history. I'm not going to deride that. But what I want to do, let's do this. DJ CEO is in the house with us today, so you may see a little bit different rhythm in our break.
Jacket. Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna take a break, Pete. Right. Come back, and I'm gonna let you grind on Biden a little bit about his press conference and the horrible week Trump had.
Press conference.
Yeah. Let's do it. In Touch News Radio, reality radio. Everybody can be a star. We will be right back after this commercial break. All right, DJ CEO.
Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay, call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida, grab a pen of sundown 184-361-RICK. That's 184-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, push your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361-RICK. Call Ricky, ask Ricky, is a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and giving you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
We're playing your favorite old school.
Nobody loves me better. Makes me happy. Makes me feel
Today's R&B
marriage magic in the air.
with a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers on the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a new edition of Straight Up the Middle there and everything. We were talking off the air about what all the supply chain issues and all, and I guess those who have asked me that we ever get our ribs from Adrian,
Yeah, the ribs.
blame it on the weather and the chain issue. But I'm sure our CEO, Brother Johnson.
Listen, man, you head over to Conan's, man. Tell Brother Trigg over there. Darryl Johnson take care of you, man. You get taken care of.
Now, you know, the old stockade used to be right up the street in Carver City.
Around the corner.
So
The stockade used to go around the corner.
So if I tell Conan that, man, and I can't pay.
You tell him. You can pay. You done. You good, man.
I'm going to tell him they're all set.
Tell you what the Kappas. The Kappas sent you.
No, they know better than that. They're going to say, you nuts. But here's the thing. As we go into coming off the holiday break and all, and I'm asking our community, stop running from young people when you're out. There are many ways.
Yeah, no, Pete. Sometimes they look. You're in McDonald's and 4 or 5 of these kids come rolling in there.
No, man.
Hey, I'm sorry. They look dangerous.
They look dangerous, but
And they are dangerous.
some of them are, but they're.
I don't know which ones are not, which ones aren't.
When you can go to Chick-fil-A, you can go to a lot of places. Here's the thing: how you can find out if they're really dangerous for the moment or not. And I learned this from people that's been in the institution more than 3 or 4 times. It's your eye contact. If you see young people and you immediately look down and away from them as if you don't see them, that sends up a flag to them that you're soft. Now that's just
I don't need to prove, but I'm just trying to get my food. But I'm just trying to get my food.
But a lot of kids,
or my medicine at the Walgreens. I'm trying to get gas in my car.
You got a lot of them that are hurting.
I would disagree. I would say if you're in a social setting with kids that you know, that's where you open engagement. Or if they engage you, be constructive. Now, one of the things that I saw at the parade, and I thought was quite interesting, was a relatively recognized person in the community. Somebody threw some beads and the kids wanted candy. Let me just say this about my parade route folks.
Okay.
They keep it real. I mean, you better come correct,
Oh yeah.
or they come back at you. And so somebody they had candy, and the kids asked for candy, and they threw them
This is the shoulders
beads,
here.
and they threw the beads back and said, "No, we want candy." And someone who is prone to think they have answers in life stepped over to the rail and started to lecture the kids. And it just didn't go well.
Can't do that.
But before you knew it, you had to have two cops run over there and shoo him away. The kids are yelling. Now the kids are throwing everything they can find at him, and they following him on the side. Every time they get something, they throwing it back at him.
I don't went over there and say, "Hey, look,
Hey, I would
we
go.
don't have it
listen,
this time."
No,
but
we
next
tell our
time
people.
I
No, we
got
tell
you."
our people stay at least 5 feet away from the rails, and do not personally engage anyone that you don't. Because we have kids come and walk with us from University of South Florida. We have a lot of Kappas that are not from East Tampa. They don't know that community. They live out in Wesley Chapel or wherever they may live, and they move here from Arizona. Now they live here, and they're part of. They don't know that community. And we tell them, look, do not, no matter what people say. And there are people that say some pretty harsh stuff out there. But I'm concerned, Pete. You're talking. I would be real cautious.
I lived in Drac City.
What's that?
That's in no, just above Bush. They used to call it Drac City. I lived there for 9 years. I only had to call the police 3 times in 9 years. Never had a break-in. In fact,
You said that's north of Bush Boulevard.
north of Bush Boulevard,
Bush Gardens
before
area?
you get between Nebraska and 15th around.
Okay, so you back
Nine
over there.
Bougainville, okay.
Okay.
I used to walk to happy hour and leave my door open at night and walk down to Interstate Lounge for happy hour.
Stop, Pete,
and
right
come
there.
back.
But
No,
hold on,
I'm
stop,
just
Pete.
giving you
but
an
but
example.
you're a Pete.
I'm
You Sweet
giving you an
Pete Daddy
example.
was the legend, though.
No, but kids,
Man, that ain't there. That's
but
Sweet
kids
Sweet Pete.
respect you. Here's the thing. The first time I called the police was the kids were stealing cars and parking them in our neighborhood, and they didn't live there. So I told the other little wannabes, I said, I got this. I said, hey man, you don't even live here, so don't be bad mouthing our thing. Now what I found out is how you talk to them. For an example, young people and some of their parents would block up the street while the little kids playing during the daytime and smoke their herb. I said, bro, I like music. I'm not afraid of you. But we got little babies out here right now. And y'all can't be speeding down the street.
Well,
you follow me now?
I see where you're going
But
with
they-
that.
but
I'm
they
just gonna make sure.
respected
I want to
it.
make sure
Yeah.
that on straight up the middle, from the left side of the street, I'm not telling you go out and engage with random kids and try to have a constructive conversation.
No, but you gotta.
I'm not saying. But
how
with-
do you make an attempt to bridge
well,
the gap?
not randomly, approaching groups of kids at McDonald's at tables. I'm telling you, don't do it.
Right.
I'm saying though, but in your home,
Skate
I'll tell you a good
range,
example.
church,
No,
right.
like for example, if my kids have other kids over at the house, I will wander into the conversation somehow. If my kids are going someplace and their friends are going to meet them there, I will drift off into a conversation in that space about stuff that they may not have thought about, and try to see what their thought process it is. But let's talk politics for a minute, because I know you were excited
I
last
told
week.
y'all last year. I told you last year, over and over again, that the country as we know it is ending. I still believe that by 2022, or definitely by 2023, we will have a all-out race war in this country.
Absolutely impossible. It's impossible.
That's
You know
not
why,
true.
Pete? Our families are too mixed. The first thing we have to do is diversify our families. I don't know, most black families now have white members. Somebody's married somebody. You got grandkids that are mixed. You can't go.
But here's the key to that. The old extreme right, the old age extreme right, along with the white evangelical Christians that are hanging on, that's going to be their last battle. The question is, can the country survive it? Now, let me give you some examples. You look at, I'll give you a good example. We had 2 Supreme Court judge vacancies in the state of Florida during the Trump administration when DeSantis was in there. They made a lady and a man from South Florida come in. Before you know it, they put them out of the state Supreme Court, and Trump nominated them to the 11th Federal Court of Appeals in Atlanta. And one of the things DeSantis says that, hey, I'm happy for them because it's going to make it easier for us. Basically.
All right, let me back up.
Okay,
All
right. So you
But
got judges in place.
Yeah,
now.
but people don't go to war over judges. You know how they go to war? They don't have bread. They don't have war. People do not go to war.
But the old school people, I'm saying it.
They too old, Pete. They're not going to the street and fight.
But their money's not too old.
But they got to
Yeah.
right. Exactly. So let me back up. I don't think you're going to have any of that kind of stuff in the streets, mainly
It's already
because
here.
yeah, but that's different. That's those are neighborhood crimes. You don't have. I don't think institutional battles over the legitimacy of the structures of America. That's really where you're going to get a street battle.
You know what made it confirm? I'll give you a good example. I've said it before. During the insurrection, when you see the so-called, they had two main movements doing all this stuff. George Floyd issue and everything was Black Lives Matter and Blue Lives
But
Matter.
you're connecting those two things
Well,
together
no,
with
no,
with the
Well, here's
Capitol
what
riots.
Right. Here's
okay.
what I'm saying. The Blue Lives Matter people that claim they love the police and all like that, to this day, you have not heard them say not one thing that goes against the way they beat the policemen up. So that told me right then and there that Blue Lives Matter, like the dysfunctional Black Lives Matter movement, they were both fake.
No, I will
All
say.
right.
Let me say this. I don't
Okay.
think January 6th was a representation of all of the right thinking and movement in America. That was a small group, a deranged group, a far group, no less than the people in Seattle taking over some autonomous zone, being reflective of how everybody on the left think and feel. That was a very, very. But let me say this back to this thing about you and this revolution, Pete. I ain't revolutioning nothing. America lives in America for the most part have each year and each decade have gotten better for all people, no matter where you're at. Now, some people think they should have more, great, but most people are not willing to go out and risk all that they've earned and grown and gathered for their kids and for generations to fight what? What will be the battle over?
Well, here's the thing. The old school extreme right, they really believe that they can go back to pre-Civil War days, or they can take a...
and you're saying back to slavery. You're saying
that kind of
you're
mentality.
saying the Republicans on the right with you,
extreme right. Make it clear.
on the
because
right of your right.
They're using the Republic. See, the good Republicans, a lot of them have left and went to independent. But let me give you this structure idea, and I'm going to let you tell me what you think about it. When you look at what's going on in America now, you see the lining up of particular groups that they're targeting. 1, African Americans. 2, the Jewish community. 3, the gay movement.
You left out immigrants.
Well, immigrants are that's just a thing. The real issue is, what's coming up next after the gays? Mixed couples, mixed marriages. So see, this is the last frontier battle for the soul of America. It's already there. Now, if you look,
But you're suggesting then that that's based on some concept that America's fundamentals are entwined with race and division of
you can
lines.
see it. Look at all these voter restrictions. You can look at it.
But that's only one. That's only in the Republican realm. You can't.
But we're being fooled into thinking that just because they fly under the Republican label, that's what the Republican Party is all about. It's just like people always say the Democrats are black people's best friend. And you look at a city like Tampa.
I don't know who said that, but
I'm telling you, it's an issue.
right.
Now, what also you're going to have after they come out with some of
Hey,
the
what you Nostradamus? Or will you take a week off and you turn into like Mr. Predictor?
I'm telling you,
giving us all the
I
things
told
of the
y'all
future
last
world.
year. Guess what's going to be challenged, and you tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay, all right.
Because you're legal. In the next couple of years, you're going to see more challenges to the 1964, 1965, and the 1968.
I'm not opposed to reanalyzing acts and things that are
Well, they're
passed.
going to undo them.
I can't speak to that. I won't even, but I don't know.
You
There's a
heard
movement.
me.
You heard Pete. Now,
I
all right,
stand
Pete.
by it.
Let's get your perspective on some things that are actually did happen, and you
Okay.
can talk. And that was Joe Biden's speech. I think was his third longest speech. He went in. The reason he did the speech is Allegedly, there have been clamors for, well, he's not really deciding. He doesn't know. He didn't have the stamina. They're hiding Joe somewhere. And so out comes, Joe Biden, and he does this marathon interview. What are your thoughts?
I thought it was a good interview. I actually thought that his speech in Georgia hit a sore point, not only for Republicans but also Democrats, when he blasted the Republicans about do they want to be Bull Connors or whatever. But the press conference was designed to send a message, and I thought the message was a good design because he put other people.
What was that message you think?
The message was, if you keep this up through my connections, then we're gonna leak out some of the stuff I know y'all been doing over the years that have been maybe racist in nature or that kind of stuff. And keep in mind now.
But with the new mantra that Trump has put out, if you're a racist in the Republican Party, doesn't that strengthen your position with the base?
Not the real Republican Party, no. They just sitting quiet. That's why I said, see, it's a generational thing more than.
So, well, hold on for a minute. Donald Trump got 74 million votes, correct? In the election. Is that the real Republican Party?
I don't think so.
Well, if it wasn't, then where are they? Because I don't know if you got any more. He got 74. Biden got 78.
You know where he got a lot of the other votes from? See, there are
no other votes.
There are a lot of closet. There are a lot of Democrats who are closet Republicans and closet racists.
And we have a suspicion about a closet Republican floating around that might really be a socialist. We're going to find out. Hey, DJ CEO, he's giving us the music.
Oh, hey, good. We're on Facebook today, and I'm behaving because I want a job with donuts and ribs.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
We'll
be right back.
Been injured, you deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is attorney Clinton Paris from the law office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/here-for-you.
Well, we're here, and we're going to talk about. All right, Clint. Let me tell you about Biden. He's an old school politician. Biden reminds me of, in a way, John McCain, and then, he reminds me of also the late Senator Everett Dirksen, who was out of Illinois. If you look at this. He was one of the major players in the civil rights movement to get that across. But when I after the Biden press conference, I said to myself, why couldn't a black Republican senator, Tim Scott, have the courage to have a press conference like that and speak what's really on my mind? And then I thought about it. It's not beneficial for a black man who's a senator under the Republican label. It's not personally beneficial for him as he strives to have power, money, and lust of influence. And that was the sad thing about it, because I'm thinking, if you agree with Al Sharpton or not, he's out there. If you agree or not with Cory Booker, he's out there. And then when I look at excluding Clarence Thomas, that's just a lost cause. He is really an extreme right-wing extremist that can't get from under his black skin. If he could get out of his black skin,
Well, you get the feel that there's some self-hate there with him.
It's
but
always
just-
been there. But when I look at a guy like Tim Scott, and I think about it, if I'm a Republican and this guy was running, and I am a Republican, conservative one, but when I look at a guy like Tim Scott, I could never vote for him because he doesn't have the courage to really represent black people, what's on his heart, the whole
If you were
He
what
doesn't
you
have
if you were what you couldn't vote for.
Even if I was an extremist black Republican, because there are extreme right-wing black Republicans, you know that. But I'm saying, as a Republican today, even if he was out of Florida, I couldn't vote for him. You know why? Because he's a manufacturer liar of what black Republicans are supposed to be for.
Here's something I think
And
that
he
we
need
have to
step up like Biden.
But let me see. Here's something we have to start with as a premise, okay? That when people say stuff, let's start with they believe that. And I think too often we assume that, well, they can't believe that because it's so absurd. It's so ridiculous. You can't believe that. But guess what? I think a lot of people do believe absurd things that seem almost like they're not for their own self-interest.
Well, Tim Scott came out with, hey, we need criminal justice reform. I've been pulled over by the police and all like that. But that was just a
I'm just gonna say so
that
not to
was
get
just
that
fake.
wrong.
That was
so to not get those folks wrong, I don't expect right now the way that our politics work, and it's been this way for a minute, is basically I don't care what the other side says, you demean it. I don't care what they say. Democrats wanted less military action in the Middle East. When Donald Trump said, I'm leaving Afghanistan, everybody yelled and screamed, well, you just can't do that. Well, yeah, you can. You all been saying we need to get out of there as long as we need to get out of there.
It was the right decision.
But I'm just saying though. But we criticize him saying I'm leaving and getting out of there. I'm just saying that it's just customary. So when we have this speech by Joe Biden, nothing positive can be said by anybody Democratic about that speech.
Well, here's what I'm thinking about Biden. When I see politicians, elected officials, make speeches like that, my first impression is that they're trying to line themselves up to get right with God.
Biden in that speech, I thought something you mentioned earlier.
Well, you got to look at the body movements and everything else.
Stop it,
okay.
Pete. Stop it, Pete. God ain't watching that man how well he
What I'm
shuffled his
saying
shoulders
is-
or not.
Well, here's what I'm saying when I say get right with God. There comes a time in all of our life that, and we could be healthy, but we truly search for peace of mind.
And that's what you're saying.
And I think he's at the point now, like some other folks, whether they're in politics or not, you want to be able to find peace within yourself.
We can't do that just yet.
And
he's got to be president first.
But it has nothing to do with the
Yes, it does,
presidency.
because
it has to
he
do
doesn't
with
go
his
those.
soul.
But those speeches don't start until he's midway his second term, and pretty much he's on his. It's like at work. You put in your 2-week notice, right? And the second week, you're just doing your parade around office, waving at people. You're on your way out. Right. So, but before then, you can't start setting that up because people might get wind. Wait a minute, he's taking boxes home. Why is he taking boxes out so early? So let's leave that where it is. Then the next thing, the next thing that pops up is the week that Trump had. Though we're talking about Biden's speech. Let's talk about Trump's week. Supreme Court comes out and says, what is it, 700 documents or something, whether they can be released to the Capitol, the committee investigating the Capitol riots. Bad week for Trump on that.
Well,
then,
yes
hold on,
and
we're not finished. Then the Attorney General, I think it's Attorney General or State Attorney up in New York.
Oh, yeah, Letitia James.
Asked for a criminal grand jury to investigate fraud. Now, let me tell you this. Before that happened, they already have the evidence of the fraud.
Oh, yeah.
They got the fraud. They're just trying now to get people on the record in front of a grand jury to justify indictments, I think. Your thoughts about Trump's week, and what does that mean for the 2022, the midterm elections?
Nothing. Nothing, because what happens in midterm elections, the people that ought to pay more attention, the downtrodden, those who are suffering from lack of child care, all of that, and minority community, but especially the black community, they take a break from elections in midterms. And we won't see the power base in the black community rise up again until the next presidential election. It's historically, I don't like to see it like that, but it is what it is. And when the Supreme Court made that decision about turning over those records and all, here's how I looked at it. It's if I was a extreme right-wing Supreme Court justice like Kavanaugh or Neil Gorsuch. I set it up so as soon as the Republican Party gets back as president in 2024, it makes it easy for us to go in and destroy Biden post-election, because he's not going to get reelected. Kamala Harris is not going to even be on the ticket in my mind, and even if she was, it would create more of a wider loss for Biden than it would if she wasn't on the ticket. So that's the way I look at that.
Okay, we're going to rename you Nostradamus. You do make a lot of predictions.
Well, Nostradamus was a soul brother. Let
me start. My first one is, when was the last time a sitting president did not retain the vice president for the second term?
Well, the climate has changed.
When was the last time?
Probably Spiro Agnew or somebody like that, but he had gotten it down. I can't even remember.
Exactly.
But
that's my very point, Pete. He cannot remove Kamala.
She won't be on the ticket.
She has, unless she goes to the Supreme Court. She's on the ticket.
No, technically, what I'm saying, I honestly think, and hear me now, on January 22nd, where we were, I think right after the midterm elections, she's going to voluntarily remove herself from a re-election.
If he doesn't have her on that ticket, what does he say to me to get me to vote? Because I didn't vote for him, really. I voted for him and her. What does he say to me to get me to come back out and vote for him and not stay home?
Well, I don't think either one of them going to be on the ticket in 2024.
Based on what?
I think with her, it's because of her own fault of trying to overplay her hand both
But
ways.
you're confusing her performance with whether she's going to leave.
I think because of the totality of the situation with her, even with her staff the whole bit.
What's
She's
that? Stop it.
A lot of her staff is left
listen.
already.
You see, listen. Every week you had another person in that Trump administration bouncing out the window, jumping off a roof, going underground, filing lawsuits. His own staff.
When you see them,
I'm just saying, you don't quit office.
When you see them leave a sister like that.
But how do they leave though?
They're
Hey,
frustrated.
not enough to go out and write a book.
I'm telling you.
How many books? Everybody was leaving Trump writing books.
Right after the midterm election.
I
think Kamala Harris is going to announce that she's not going to.
And doing what?
She's going to announce that.
But what is she going to go do?
Well, whatever she can write.
But
a book.
you don't stop me vice president
write it
to go
down,
write a
Mr.
book.
Producer. January.
I don't know what Pete talking about, man.
I think it's going to be
no more off days for you.
No, it's going to be a lot of circumstances.
No way.
It's going to be a lot of circumstances.
Who do they replace her with?
I actually see a whole new team.
Like who?
I really see
Biden has cleaned the slate. There is no rising Democratic leader that could challenge him.
Well, what I'm thinking about, and the rising Democrat will probably switch back from being an independent Republican.
Like who?
Independent.
You can't. Elizabeth Warren, all those people, they cannot.
They never wanted to be
but
president anyway.
So listen. But you have no one right now with unless you did something funky like Michelle Obama, maybe. But she's not. I like her. I don't know if she knows enough about government to be president. You don't just walk off the street. We tried that with Trump, and it was a mess.
Well, see, the reason why I said with Kamala, we forget in the euphoria or whatever you want to call it, the fact that we had a black female president. But I'm a kind of guy that looks at the sum total of all the parts.
I don't know what you look.
And when you look at her record as Attorney General
okay,
of the state of California, once you get past the fact that
you want to say she's not qualified.
What I want to say is she's not who she says she is.
That's okay. That's all politicians. We'll leave that where it is, though.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to go up
saying.
into the vice presidential suite and say my staff don't like me, so I'm quitting. Let's talk.
What I'm saying, she won't be back. You heard me.
Yeah, okay. Nostra Pete has spoken, y'all. We're going to take this last break, come back for the last part of the show, and see if we can figure out what's going on this inflation and stock market down 3 weeks in a row. In Touch News Radio, reality radio where everybody can be a star. We'll be right back.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida. Grab a pen of sundown 184-361-RICK. That's 184-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361-RICK. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. It's a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and getting you the best medical treatment and recovery. Now 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
And I'm holding up this the new edition of In Touch, and we want you to support everybody in the paper. And look, you know what? You can even write a letter to the editor in the In Touch newspaper and all. And every time I hear the commercial with Adrian, I think of myself.
You lose your focus.
Well, you know what? It would be nice to do a live show from there.
Yeah.
Not doing this one in
Virginia.
Virginia, doing a live show some kind of way.
You know what? We might could make that happen if we can get inflation under control, more so, and also see. I think more things that America really at its core, it's more capitalist than anything. And so when the money starts to slide around, that's what we're gonna eat. So last week, the inflation jumped again. And the stock market for 3 weeks in a row has been down.
Well, inflation is that's misleading. Inflation is like it is because of the massive profits as the main players are making. If you look at the reporting and all, it's just like the supply chain issues. Some of those folks are making tons of money and all. And people got to understand that I passed by today, I think gas was somewhere $3.13. And then I thought about it, 15 years ago, okay, that was cool because we didn't get up to $4. But when you look at inflation, the people that's making the big profits, they have utilized the right wing extremists that utilize poor white people and some hanger-ons to believe that it's all Biden's fault. You know as well as I do, inflation does not take place in a 6 months or a year time. It's a build-up to that. And
so to do something about it is almost impossible.
Well,
right.
Until people see what's going to help bring down inflation is what is helping bring up wages. A lot of jobs out there, but people not working for low pay anymore. They're just not having that. And some other things going on. So I think what you will see, in fact, since I'm the Black Nostradamus this morning,
Pete making
and I take that because
predictions about Pete.
he was dark skinned guy. I tell you what, I'm of the belief by the time the 2024 election come around, inflation won't even be an issue.
So you don't think inflation will have an influence on the election?
No, I think what's going to happen by 2024, you got some other economic factors. For an example, what's going to happen to the Social Security Trust Fund? What's going to happen to the strength of a better working wage for earning, $15, $18, right? And I think the other part of that is what's going to be key with regards to prescription medication and overall health care. That's where I think the issue is good. Now, some people will say preschool education, and that's fine and all. And hopefully we'll have in the future a subject about
we don't have
the changing of the school system,
yeah.
because I could tell people by 2024 you're going to find out that what we know as the public school system today, with elected school board members and all like that, that's going to change out. So inflation will be a dead
I don't
issue.
know where do you
and
get
we may
this?
have a housing collapse.
Pete,
before
where's your
2024.
phone? I want to know what websites you've been visiting and getting this.
You
Listen, people are not,
heard me. You
people are
heard
not
me.
going to change. They're not. Their school boards aren't going anywhere, and I can't
Well, they're
imagine.
going to take the salaries
I
from
can't
them.
imagine your friends in the Republican Party giving up on using inflation as something to beat up Joe Biden with because they know he can't do anything about
By
it.
2024, as things straighten out and people really begin to look at things from a more 360-degree viewpoint, I'm telling you, I would say by 2023 end, inflation will not be an issue. The issue is going to be the final changing of the guard from the baby boomers who have stopped progress and unity and all of that. That's going to be one of the main issues, and that's why I trust and believe in young people, including those who are in high school and all. I think they're going to have a revival in a sense. Hey, we better pay attention to this politics thing, because there are going to be a lot of violent events and all leading up to that that's going to bring America back together. Inflation will not be an issue, but unity will be an issue. And if we keep going the way we're going, I suspect before 2022 is out, I pray that it doesn't happen, but I got a spiritual feeling that it will happen, that you're going to see some bombing of black churches. I'm just saying.
First of all, I think the racial component of this is going to die down.
No,
Why?
it won't.
I'm gonna tell you why. A couple things. Your black on black crime is mainly in black communities, and you've had the successful prosecution of police officers who shot some black people.
But that's not the issue.
Oh no, that's the visual dynamic of it though, and that's gonna calm people down. And long as we get some semblance of justice through the judicial process, when you have those visible shootings, I think you're going to get people calm down. Now, here's the problem going to be this.
No, it's a shortage.
I was told that car dealership prices, cars are selling above sticker price. And most people are used to going to get a car, getting a car below price, sticker price. That kind of stuff is going to be the big thing that affect. When you go down to Home Depot and they say, well, we have this listed refrigerator for $2,000, but for you it's going to be $2,300. That's when people are going to go, what the heck is going on?
Well, you're saying that now.
And I can't imagine Republicans letting that go. It's such a good issue. It's such a good issue for them because gas prices and what it costs to go out to dinner and eat and buy clothes, it hits everybody. And so you don't have to worry about this issue of race because that's some people who interact with those racial conflicts. That's not everybody.
You would think so, but if you can use racial conflict as a way to mask over your own shortcomings.
But why would Republicans do that?
Extremist Republicans.
But why would they?
It's a difference.
In an election, though, you're going to have your extremist right-wing people. They're going to be off the market. You're going to have, I think, a much lower profile because they want to pull back the independents. They need the independents to get to 74 up to 78. They need these independents to come back. So I think they're going to attack to the middle.
But they won't get the see, when I look at independents, the strength of independents in the future is going to be those under 40 that vote. because they're going to be flexible enough to see that there's something good, something bad, something indifferent in all the parties. And that's why I say, with the extremist viewpoints of race now, as it comes to, I think, a volcanic conclusion, unfortunately, then you're going to see a reawakening of young people who are in the mindset of the SNCC group, the core group, had some educational and leadership sense from the Young Black Panther Party, and within the black community. And because of that, and because once the attack really started hitting home in this next year and a half or 2 years on mixed couples and all like that, then you're going to see their kids step up. I think you're going to see among white women who are that are grandparents or great-grandparents, I think you're going to see them step up in leadership and say, you know what, I'm not leaving this racial divide.
Well, I would say this. I disagree. Okay, so DJ CEO has young kids. I have younger kids. My kids don't want no part of dealing with racial conflict. They don't want no parts of it.
Well, the reason why they don't want no parts of it, they don't understand it.
No. You know why? Because they live in a multicultural world. What are you talking about? Well, I've got friends of every ilk. I go to this kind of place and function. I go over there and eat. I go spend the night over at Joey's. What are you talking about?
I misstated. What I mean is they don't understand. They don't understanding the last gaps of racism that is fighting.
But I don't doubt
the last victory. That's what I'm saying.
You're right about that. They may be, but they live in a multicultural world where they have less acrimony based on race. They may not like somebody, but very little of that's based on the fact that that person's white and I'm blue or green or purple. You know, they don't think in those terms, and so it's going to be much harder for them to take action based on that. See, back in the civil rights movement, you had the clarity of not being allowed to do stuff simply because of how you looked. It's not that simple anymore, and these kids have been brought up in such a multicultural environment. They don't even they keep their mind. They think that's so idiotic. That's idiotic.
But they don't control. They don't have the power, the money, and the resources to change it.
But they're the under 40 and they vote.
Well,
see, that's what
the black community. They don't.
That's what I'm drilling down into. Well, let's say this right here is. I would say, Pete, you almost have as many black people in Hillsborough County, in Wesley Chapel, in Riverview, and Carrollwood as you do in East Tampa.
But here's the thing.
That's something to think about.
But here's the thing: you have them, but in terms of politics, the white people only worry about the black people influential vote,
and that's a mistake.
And that's a mistake. Well, that's a mistake on us too.
I'm sorry. Right. In the parade, I looked up and behind the Kappas because we were setting it off, as I said earlier. And I know DJC, we got a few minutes, right? We were setting it off, right? We jamming. We thought the crowd was yelling and screaming for us, and I looked up. And behind us was the Spoto High School band. High stepping. First, I thought, well, they looked like the old Tampa Bay Tech band. Mm-hmm. High stepping, dropping their instruments, dropping it low, rolling around on the ground, getting up, popping it, jumping back up in high step, kick stepping, and off they went again. And I thought about something. You got all those black folks out there in Riverview, out there going to that school, and you could see the influence. And if politicians miss that, it's going to bite them in the butt.
Remember what I said. I see dangerous signs this next 18 months.
Well, we're going to be fine. So give me
okay.
All right, give for next week, Pete. Tell me what we should be looking out for.
Next week, I think we really ought to talk about a local issue, how we get ready to get raked over the coals with taxpayers paying for a new stadium for the race. And you know what the disappointing thing about it is, and I'm going to leave it out there now. I don't care whether the elected black officials like it or not. You got 5 black officials that play a major role in the district where they want to put the new raised baseball field. They have not wrote not one op-ed piece in the In Touch magazine to let you know what they're thinking and all. But you know why they're not doing it? Because we always give black elected officials a pass. But guess what? When they're gonna use general tax funds dollars and the whole bit, and I'm willing to call them out. You ask yourself, they send a business group sends 24 names to the Times in an op-ed piece. But the major players, all 5 black elected officials, and said that, you know why? Because they're in favor of using taxpayer money for that stadium on this thing. Well, they're going to increase black business. Hell, the Rays don't even advertise in touch or nothing now. So you think they're going to change that when they get to Tampa?
I'll give you an answer next week. Thank you for joining us. In
all
Touch
right,
News
all
Radio,
right.
reality radio, where everybody can be a star. And have a great weekend, everybody.
Oh, I like that song now. I might write some words to it.